Hello, welcome back. This is Jeff Byers, and this is NE 255, and we are now on Module 7. This is our last module, and we are now going to be working on rendering. So I'm going to give you some ideas on rendering. Of course, you can render any way you'd like. Just make it look as photorealistic as possible. I know the liquid will not look exactly like liquid, but it'll still be fun to render out. We need 3 images. One showing the milk in the pitcher, this scene right here, and I'll take you through. I'm not going to tell you what type of materials you need to put on. We're going to be using Arnold. You can use V-Ray, so you're on your own with V-Ray, but I'm going to take you through how to set the scene up for Arnold. And of course you can use V-Ray. You're not allowed to use Phoenix FD or any other water simulation. You need to use N particles in Maya, and going through all the work that we had to go through. So with that said, I'm giving you an HDR image. You can find your own if you'd like. Whatever you'd like to do is fine with me. In fact, I don't need this floor. I can just delete that. So the image, the first thing I want you to do is get some light in here. We are going to use Arnold, so I'm going to go into Arnold, into render settings, and just kind of show you what we need to start with. So we're just going to use the default setup, and we're going to keep it at HD 540 for our preview testing for our lighting. And I've got everything set up. Basically, I've got a sky dome, Arnold sky dome, and then I just created a point light that I'm going to be using and take you through that. It's pretty simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start with the sky dome. We need to get that in there. You can see that I switched out my table with a table that I've modeled before. I just like it better. And so I'm just going to use that with the chairs in there. And so let's select the sky dome. So what you need to do is create a sky dome. So let's go to Arnold and click on this guy right here. When you click on that, I want you to set it up. And of course, you guys can feel free to go on your own if you want to set it up yourself. But I'll just show you the intensity and what I did here, and you guys can follow along. Or you can kind of just do what you think looks best. It's really up to you. As long as your renders look great, okay. So intensity 0.5, resolution, that has to do with what resolution we end up using for an HDR image. And I'm thinking we're going to be using a 2K. I want it to be kind of, I want it to be a little bit blurry, not fully in focus. So that's fine. We're going to be using a 2K probably. And then the exposure is 0.5, kind of matching the intensity. Samples are 1. This will have it go pretty fast. Now if your shadows don't look that great, then you can turn those up. The higher you go, the slower the render will be. Because we are going to render these at HD 1080. Okay, that'll be full resolution when we're all finished. Okay. And then you can scroll down, and we've got the cast volumetric shadows, and we've got that set up at 2. Okay. And if you don't want to see the background, then you just turn this all the way down to 0. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and add the background. So hopefully I put my background in. So I should have a couple. Just one. I'm going to have a 1K, or excuse me, a 2K texture and a 4K texture up there for you guys to take, whichever one you want. Of course, you can go up to HDR Haven, and download something if you want to. I'll try to remember to put the URL up into the module 7, so you can find that. Otherwise, I'll have 1, 2, and 1 4K. HDR image that you guys can use. This, it'll be the same one I'm using. And go into color option box, click on file, and turn quadratic off. Go in and you can find that I've got just a hotel room. I got 4K. So those two, I'll try to get the 4K in there, but I'm just going to use the 2K. Keep it simple and fast. Okay, put that in there. And then I can rotate that to find something that kind of matches where the lighting is coming from. So the lighting is coming from over here. Okay, so I can use that. And I can also zoom out a little bit and just kind of rotate around to find out where the light's coming from, and that'll match the light I have here. Okay, so I have my light set up right over here like that. It's kind of following that. And so we'll basically have an image maybe over here. Like over here would be good. Okay. Alright, not a big deal, you know. I just don't want, you know, maybe I could have it. We just kind of want to make it so it's a little interesting. Maybe this isn't the best image. Anyway, you know, find an image that you like, and work with that. But we'll just work with what we have right now, and you guys can pick any image that you want. We're trying to get a direction that would look best. Okay, so get that set up here. Alright, so we're just going to do, so the next thing we need to do is make sure our materials look good, and make sure you're using Arnold AI standard surface materials. So I'll take you through the glass. They have a really good glass. It's really pretty good. I like it. So I'm going to go in here and right click over it and go to assign new material, and I'm going to go to Arnold shader and AI standard surface, and then I'm going to go into the presets, and they have a really good glass in here. I'm just going to replace it. There we go, and it just totally disappears. And then I'm going to go into the drinking glass and do the same thing. And go into the presets and select glass again, and notice I go into replace, so glass replace. There we go. And then the poly surface. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing here, and I'm going to assign new material, and we're going to go to AI standard surface and do the same thing. We're going to go into, now I don't see water in here. Maybe I don't just see it. Nope, we have wax. So what item did? No, we do have deep water. I want to stay away from that. I'm going to go to glass replace. Now we have milk actually. So let's do milk. Let's go milk. I forgot that they had it. Let's go to milk replace. Okay. Did it actually do it? Go in here. And did I get it in there? There it is. Let me type in milk texture so I don't get confused on where we're at here. Presets, go to milk, replace. Okay. And is it working? I don't think it's working. Let me go in here. Milk. Okay, I got it. The color black. Yeah, that should be black now. For some reason, it's not really working. Let's go to end particles and see if this will work. So end particles. Interesting. Maybe it's just not showing. That's it. I just don't see it doing anything. Just a bummer. Okay. Alright, milk, replace. What if I did glass? It should turn. Yeah, it's working. Okay, well, I just have to trust that it's doing its job. So let's go back. Okay, one more time. Milk, replace. Okay, now I'm done. I'm not going to do anything anymore. I'll leave it alone. So the rest of it's okay. So that's it. It's pretty simple. This is my my point light, and I will show you what I did with that. So basically, I showed you what I did with my my sky dome just to get started. And the point light, you just go to create lights and click on point light. I'm actually using a Maya light, so point light, and then click on it, and you guys can go ahead and set it up wherever you want to. But of course, you know, if you want to know what I've got here, I've got translate Y 16.678 and translate Z at 14.83. And if you're using the same kind of scale that I've got, then you can get pretty close to what I have here. Okay, and then the light itself, okay, you can pause the video anytime. The light itself, I've got, let's get out of here, Control A again. So I've got the intensity at 2, okay. Under Arnold, I got that turned on, and I got the temperature at 6,000, so it kind of mimics this warm temperature in here. I could even go lower than that because it's pretty warm in there, so I can go like something like 5,800 maybe. Make it a little bit warmer, and the lower you go, the more warm it gets. So if I type in 5,500, you can see that gets warmer and warmer. Okay, be careful with that, not to go too warm. So I'm going to keep it at 58. Kind of counteract. It's a little bit too yellow in there, and I've got the exposure way up. Now you have to do that to punch through, because the Maya lights are pretty, their intensity isn't as intense if you use the lights that Arnold has. They're a lot more efficient. So these lights have to be pumped up pretty hard, and I got this up to 12 in the exposure, 2 and 0.6. I've got cast shadows on, show shadow density at 0.8. You can turn that up. That makes it more black. You know, if you go to 0.4, it'll be half that, you know, shadow color or lightness. And you know, I've got volume samples to 2. Okay, everything else is good. Okay, so with that said, I can go in here and start rendering. And we're just going to do some tests right now. So I'm going to go in here and turn on my my mask, and I can do film gate. Okay. If I turn that on, it gives me exactly what's going to be rendered, which is what I want. And I also have to kind of see where we're going to be at with the let's go to 220, because I know that's where the pouring's going to be. I want to make sure that it's in frame. Everything's got to be in frame. Okay, make sure it's in frame, and get the angle that you want. Okay, so I'll go ahead. We're going to render it, one render like this. Now I'm not doing 1080 yet, so that takes a lot of time. Let's just do one at a time and see what that looks like. And then you tweak it out as you want, as you feel is right. The glass looks really good in here. The milk doesn't look so great, but you know what? It's still going to be fun to render these out. It's going to be pretty cool. So Maya's rendering pretty quickly. I didn't have to do a whole lot. That's why I love Arnold so much. I see a lot of graininess right there, but we can fix that with longer render times, of course. And the background's kind of fuzzy, is exactly what I wanted, right? If I was going to do this right, I'd put depth of field on the chairs too as well, or on the camera. I'm not being that picky. We've got index of refraction working perfectly in here. You can see that it's working great. It's bending the light in through here, which is really cool. Alright, great. So I'm happy with the glass. I'm not really happy with the milk, but let's see what happens, you know. The lighting's okay. I've got a shadow in the background. I know the shadows are working. I could probably turn the shadow up, but then again, it's glass, so I don't need it to be dark, a dark shadow. We've got some reflection in the table, which is great. If you want to diffuse that more, you can go click on the table and go to the bar. Let's see, the bar top is what I got, and turn the roughness up. So I've got it pretty low, and usually I have it around 0.25, so it just kind of filters off. It's not a perfect reflection, which is what I want. So I went from 0.1 to 0.25. Let's do a quick render. Didn't take too long, so we can wait for the render. And that's why I render at such a low quality and at a smaller size. Even though it is HD, it's we're getting some speckles in here, and that comes from the roughness, and those are hard to get out. But it does look a little bit less reflective in there, which is kind of cool. Okay. The spots kind of go away when you kind of turn down your specular, okay? And that's what I did. So I'm going to pipe this in here. I'm going to go to 0.1 again and see if we see those spots. And I might just keep it there to get away from those spots. I don't like those spots. And those are called fireflies, and they can be in any of your renders. And that's usually because of the specularity settings you have, and it's gone here, so the roughness is causing it to be a problem. So I can turn up diffuse roughness, maybe that'll help. I don't hate what I see here. Okay, it's not bad. Okay, I like that image better. I didn't like the spots before. You can see the difference here between the two. Look at that. So I'll go back, and maybe I can go bring this diffuse roughness up to something like 0.25 and see the difference here. So I'm going to go ahead. I click on this guy to put it in memory. And let's go ahead and I pop this up, diffuse roughness a little bit, and render that. Okay. Now it's just a matter of once you get your lighting all set up and you're happy with that, then now we just get in, find the three positions that we want: the beginning, middle, and end, which means the before we pour it, during the pour, and after it's poured. Those are the three that I need. Okay, so that looks good. I'm happy with that. So this is what I can do is I'm going to go ahead. If you're ready, if you're happy with what you see in this smaller render, and just make sure, I'm going to go ahead and close this. Just make sure that at frame 220 that you're not going outside, you're not clipping. Okay, you got a little bit of room there. Okay, that's important. Okay. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going about to 290, 291. So I find that, because I like what I'm seeing here, it's kind of cool. And you see the splashes. So let's see what we get with that. It's pretty cool. Alright, so I'm out of bounds here, it looks like, for some reason. I wonder why. Let's go to 1 to 1. Yep, I'm out of bounds there. So for some reason, let's go back out of here, Let's go back into, yeah, I'm out of bounds. So I need to make sure that my, I get this right. So let's back off just a little bit there. There we go. Looks pretty good. Alright, so the milk looks a little overexposed, but let's go back to I think I want to do 297. That's kind of cool. That looks good. So I'll render that. And the milk being kind of overexposed helps us a little bit because the milk is so bumpy, and it's kind of nice to be able to kind of hide that a little bit. Okay, doesn't look really realistic for sure, and we probably need a backlight to see through it because I'm assuming that there's some properties in here, translucent properties that allow you to see through the lights. If I really wanted to do this right, I'd probably turn down the bright light I have in here because the background's not that bright. It's 0.5. Okay. I don't want to bring that down any lower, but I could bring down the I'm clicking on the light here, the point light, and bringing that down, the exposure down to something like 8. Now you have to have it above 8 or above, otherwise you won't see it at all. In fact, I could probably turn that off, Illuminous by default and diffuse and specular, just to see what it looks like just without any lights in the scene, and see what that looks like. It actually looks pretty good without the light in there. That's sick. That's cool. I mean, that's looking really good. I'm pretty amazed. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, don't need the light in there. I just turned it off. So I'm going to delete that because I got everything turned off, and it looks pretty good. It's just kind of noisy, you know. That's because the subsurface scattering I need to turn up. It's gonna be a beast trying to get that rendered with 1080. So make sure you give yourself lots of time to render that. So I'm gonna turn that off. That light. So I'm gonna place that in there and give it one more render. Make sure I didn't screw anything up. I just got rid of the. So it makes it easy for you guys. Don't need that light. It's looking pretty good. I see the subsurface scattering, and from the actual HDR image, looks really good, actually. Pretty surprised. If the milk was smoother, man, that would look good. Okay, alright, so alright, I think we got it. So what I'll do is we'll go to the end here, 500, see if this will let me. There we go. Alright, with the milk on the ground there. Let's do one more render, and then I'm gonna, if I'm happy with that, then I'm gonna crank up the settings, and then I will post these. I'm not gonna post them right now, but I'll post these renders that I have online at the very end, so you guys can take a look at them. But that's basically it. Okay, cool. Again, I'll get rid of all that graininess, and I'll show you how to do it, but it will take a long time to render, maybe 10-15 minutes a piece to render. Alright, so start at frame 1, okay, and I'll show you the highest settings now. So with Arnold Renderer, you need to set this from 3 to 6, and then of course I'm gonna blanket this, and this will really slow it down. We got transmission, we got subsurface scattering. That will help, you know, this will really definitely help. Now I could probably go down and just test maybe 5 before I go up to the higher setting, but I'm going to go all the way just right to the top and just let it burn through. It might take maybe 10-15 minutes. Ray depth, that's really important. Let's go ahead and let's max it at 12. Let's do 2. Transmission, that needs to be at least 10. Transparency depth at 12. Arnold really is pretty simple to use. And then we're going to go from HD 540 to HD 1080. Okay, that looks good, and we're done. That's it. And so I'll render this out. This hasn't changed. The aspect ratio is the same, so I'm going to get the same kind of render. It's just going to take a lot longer. And I'll post these. And hope you had fun with this. Again, you're not allowed to use anything. You're not even allowed to use Bifrost in Maya. I need you to go through understanding how to use end particles. It's the reason why we went through all this trouble. Phoenix FD, it's fantastic, awesome. We're going to be playing with that a little bit. It's free for 30 days, so don't download it yet because we're gonna use it later on. So we'll play with that a little bit, but I want to make sure that you guys understand. It's basically a one-button thing with Phoenix FD, so you're not allowed to use that, and I can tell. Because I've got Phoenix FD at home, that the output, if it's really good, then I probably know that's Phoenix FD. So do not use Phoenix FD or any other liquid simulator instead of, and you're only allowed to use end particles out of Maya. Okay, all right. So have fun. And let me know if you guys have any questions or concerns, and you know where to get a hold of me, and have a great week, and I'll see you guys in the next module.